Hello, Professor Maple here, bringing you hopefully interesting, semi-relevant commentary on a wide, semi-wide array of topics. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about Pokemon again, as is the usual norm, and we're going to be more specifically talking about Pokemon eggs. Something that, truthfully, are a bit of a mystery. I mean, we don't really know how Pokemon reproduce, except that Pokemon in similar egg groups can reproduce to make a baby Pokemon that is, I believe, the same species as the mother, or the father, I'm not sure which, and that there are a lot of mechanics behind it in the games. But, how exactly does it work? So, first question is, how are Pokemon eggs made? I mean, how do Pokemon reproduce? I'm guessing most of them reproduce fairly similar to how humans and other animals reproduce. Sorry, not going to be talking about that very much today for everyone who, isn't up to date on that. So, I'm guessing Pokemon reproduction is fairly similar to human and animal reproduction. But, that leaves some questions of how different species are producing, little baby Pokemon with each other. So, here's my theory on that. Pokemon eggs are, well, not Pokemon eggs, but, Pokemon reproduction is, Pokemon don't reproduce in exactly the same way we do. It's more, they're all very similar species, for one thing, especially the egg groups. I think Pokemon are probably very, much more similar to each other than animals are to each other in, our world. Because, they all seem to have fairly similar capacities for, taking punishment, damage. They all seem to have similar stats. I mean, their stats vary, but, they seem to have similar capabilities. And they all share unifying types. So, a lot more similar than animals in our world. So it seems conceptually reasonable that potentially ones in the same egg group could be able to mate. So next, the eggs themselves. Such as why the game egg looks like that, and then anime eggs look like this. Seemingly much more personalized than the game egg, which is a unifying sprite for all eggs, and what seems to be different eggs for different types of Pokemon. So, the game egg could be written away as simply being just, one unifying sprite, so they don't have to make, 700 extra sprites as eggs for other Pokemon. And the anime, in this case, could technically be the actual canon, which it is very rarely, in my opinion. So, also, there is one deviantly colored egg that appears as deviantly colored in almost everything, and that is the egg of our favorite little friend, Togepi. Though, we'll get back to him later, and talk a bit more about the, standard egg. So, very few mammals can actually hatch out of an egg, with pretty much only the platypus and the echidna being able to. Wherein birds and some fish hatch out of eggs, no mammals do. And mammals comprise a lot of Pokemon, especially the ones you're breeding. Like, trying to get that one shiny Pichu, who's quite definitely a mouse, and I still haven't gotten one. So, I can potentially see the bird Pokemon hatching out of eggs, but what about the mammal Pokemon? I mean, we've specifically seen even in the comics, which in my opinion are the biggest source of mechanics canon. So we've seen a baby Pichu hatch out of an egg. Though how exactly does this work? I think it probably has something to do with Pokemon, not being animals like we have animals in our world. One of the biggest indications to this is infrequent allusions to real-life animals existing in the Pokemon world. Occasionally they are mentioned. Also, in the comics, in the first, Red, Green, Blue series, I can't remember exactly which issue, but the Weeping Bell have a rat. A dead rat. It's definitely not any Pokemon we've ever seen, and we've seen all the ones in the Kanto region, as far as we know, so I'm guessing real animals exist, in addition to Pokemon. Just since Pokemon have, better, survival skills, they are the ones that have stuck around more. Meaning that Pokemon are inherently not animals. At least how we think of them. They're close, but, they're not, they can't be classified into, avians, fish, which is an insanely loose term, mammals, and, insects. They're classified into their types, which don't seem to have that much connotation on breeding. The egg groups do, though the types don't. Which brings us back to the egg, exactly what it is, and how it works. The egg seems to be similar to how eggs work in the real world, except that the Pokemon come out pretty much fully ready for battle. They may still be lesser evolved, but they seem to mature at a fairly fast rate inside the eggs, depending on what kind of Pokemon it is. And when they hatch, they are perfectly ready for life. Yes, I know some species of bird do this, but all Pokemon, when they come out of the egg, are ready for life. Meaning that I think the egg is less of a egg, how we have it, and more of just an incubation chamber, so to speak, almost like the Pokemon is actually born into an egg, not... the egg isn't laid by the female lays it into an egg, produced by the male, which then, puts the Pokemon inside and it grows to a size in which it could survive in the wild, and then cracks the shell that was formed around it by either the male or the female. I'm not exactly sure how Pokemon, breeding works. Though I also do think that the egg used in the game is purely for, sprite reasons, and that this is more what Pokemon eggs should actually look like. Also, back to the Pokemon Togepi. I mean, seriously, he's so cute. It's a species of Pokemon that seems to rely very heavily on the egg itself, which I find interesting. Potentially, Togepi is some form of, other Pokemon that's, mutated to become this, in which it relies on the egg that it is born in as a form of protection, and then it carries with it, and even merges it into its being in later life. Meaning that Togepi could potentially be what a Pokemon looks like inside of an egg. Well, that there is mostly just a theory of mine. So, this is probably what eggs look like in, real Pokemon. So, do I have anything more to say? Not really. Except for, a few things. So, sprite, real, potentially what Pokemon look like inside of eggs, and so, subscribe if you like, don't if you, obviously, don't subscribe if you don't like. So, that's really all for today. So, if you think this new graphical update style is good, then leave a comment if you do, or don't. Really, I don't care. You can do what you like. If you like it, leave a comment or subscribe if you want. So, Professor Maple, signing out. Bye!